Hello, everybody. This is a video that I am making to cover our first discussion group meeting, and I had promised that would share the PowerPoint mainly and some of the information that we provided. But thank you so much for joining the group. Of course, I'm Richard Cooper and created the group so that we could have a comfortable, safe space to have conversations about culture, films, art, music, entertainment, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And it just was very nice of you all to join. And please invite people. The only rule is that you have to be able to get along with other people, and you have to be tolerant of, diversity, gender, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, identity, and so on. And we're going to have a lot of fun. So I just want to go over some of the highlights. The group is called the Karamu or Karamu, and it's a Kiswahili word. It means feast, or I say to party. And we can discuss, anything, culture, books, movies, music, on and on and on in the group. And then we're going to continue to organize a monthly meeting. If you're able to come from home and be online or at work using your phone or your computer, you'll be able to interact with so many of us that enjoy talking about this stuff. I want to thank each and every one of you that signed up. That should be from everybody's Facebook page. If you don't see a picture of yourself, that's what you have displayed on your Facebook page. But thank all of you that were able to or emailed me that you were unable to make this one. And, no worries, no stress. If you're able to come, you're able to come in for some. If you're able to pop in, there's no early, there's no late. It's just whatever you're able to do. It's just really fortunate to be able to have a space where we can continue to connect. And now we can do it from home. And we're going to continue to do it this way. That's one thing that this pandemic situation has taught us, although we're doing things because of social distancing. So many of us have gotten better using the technology, notwithstanding that we were already using Facebook, and now we use Zoom to meet. And I can talk about more of that at another time. But thank all of you who were able to come or popped in or indicated they wish they would make this one, would have been able to make this one, but they weren't. And so I think one of the things for all of us to be aware of as people of color, African Americans, Latinos, indigenous people, is that there's a lot of money tied up into streaming services. And so I was doing some research in preparation for our group, and I just want you to be aware of the fact, as I mentioned, that there are probably more than 5, but I found these 5 Black-owned streaming services for you to pay attention to and or join if they interest you. And so I just want to highlight them because maybe you didn't know that they exist, and it's also a way to support Black business. And so the first one is entitled Kweli, KWELI.TV. You saw pop up on the screen in the arch. There is the CEO and founder, and she looks like a lot of us. She is the founder, an African-American female. And again, when you look at how you get your content, not just your provider, be it Comcast or somebody else, and I'm not doing an advertisement for them, I'm just saying we all get our content from somewhere. And then we also look to get entertainment content. And so she's providing content. Their mission is allow you to discover and celebrate Black stories from around the world, curated through independent film, documentaries, web series, kids program, news and events, and on and on and on. Kweli means the truth in Swahili, or some say Kiswahili. And it's interesting that I use the Karamu, which is a Kiswahili or Swahili word that means feast or to party. I say we do it in a cultural way. So here's another person who is providing content that you haven't heard of, and you can decide what you want to do. She talks about the global Black community, refers to the communities throughout the world of African descent. and she names places where we all are. We aim to showcase high quality content, independent films, web shows, kids programming, documentaries, etc., produced from all over. 98% of our films have been officially selected at film festivals, and more than half are award winning. And I bet you may have never heard of her before. I just want to show you the pricing, and you'll be able to do this again. It's kweli.tv. You can look it up and you can go there. But this is just some of the plans and pricing. If you do it annually, you save, it's about $50 annually, or you can do it monthly at $5.99, or you can do it as a 7-day free trial. So again, check it out. I think we all should be sharing information about these kind of businesses and others that we can take advantage of and continue to support businesses of color. I'm going to do a couple more because I promised I would. And so there's another one, X On Demand. It's an independent Black-owned streaming platform that proudly dedicates showing the work by Black content creators and filmmakers with a powerful social media platform. It is entitled X On Demand, or XOD.TV, XOD.TV. And again, they offer series and movies and more. And right now we're not able to see the and more. But again, all of them you will see have pricing. And then you can see some of the films that they have available. And of course, they encourage you to watch now. And these are in no particular order. I found this and I thought, like myself, I'm always looking to support businesses of color. Here's another one entitled Black and Sexy TV. Black and Sexy TV is an entertainment and lifestyle streaming service that offers exclusive series, movies, special footage. And according to their website, they focus on young, progressive Black audiences. And again, I may not be young anymore, but I'm interested in supporting African-American content. It's independently and Black owned, operated in the US, and it's existed since 2011. So they're pushing towards 10 years. You can start your free trial, and that one is about $7 a month. And again, it's just always good to be able to check these out. It all started with the film A Good Day to Be Black and Sexy, written and directed by Dennis Deutsch. And then I guess the filmmakers, they got together and they came up with an idea that they were going to stream content. And prior to doing this research, I've never heard of it. And then if you can get 50% off for the first 6 months, at least that's what they're advertising. So again, you'd just begin to look at the images. These are Black people, people of color. And they're shooting for a younger demographic, but again, you're supporting, if it interests you, a Black business. And these are some of the programs that they offer to you. And it's, not something that you're going to get maybe elsewhere, but you're also able to support a Black business. So again, I'm just happy to be able to do it. You can decide what your interests are, what works, what you want to pursue. And then two more, Black on Purpose. Now, some of them, hopefully they all still exist. As I've gone to some of the websites, if they don't open, Black on Purpose. Black on Purpose offers content creators an opportunity to have their work distributed and earn revenue. The network is available on Roku TV, Amazon Fire Stick, and more. So there are other places where you can get it. But again, I think part of what I want to do here is provide you access to information where you can support Black on Purpose Television Network, the largest Black-owned streaming television network in the world, or that's what they say. You can subscribe, you can watch shows here, and I'm just scrolling through their page just so that you can take a look at what they offer and what they provide. So again, I just want to help to get the information out there. And then finally, as we go to our last one, and we scroll down a little bit, this one's American Legacy Network. American Legacy Network is an independent Black-owned streaming service that showcases Black history and shows specifically catered for Black people. So again, here are 5. If you know of others, you find others, particularly I'm interested in for people of color, Latinos, Latinx, Hispanic, Indigenous, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, because oftentimes you don't get a chance to hear of these and you don't know they exist. This is some of their programming and their featured movies, Black Women Pioneers, a history of some Blacks in basketball, some of their newer releases. And again, you can look at it. It seems to have a Black history-centric kind of a center. There's a cooking show. I'll probably be eating salmon cakes and be wondering why why I have a taste for salmon cakes. But again, just wanted you to see those. I'm going to close it now and go back to where I was before. I think part of what my goal is to do that. Staying on that vein for a moment, of those of us who purchase streaming content, and particularly who are purchasing Netflix, 40% of it in America is African American. And so as we talk about these shows and the content, we Black and brown people are a large demographic. And so you have to, I think, begin to email and let people know when you're pleased, be it about the rates and what's being offered. Let people know about what you expect and what you want more of. And so some of their other competitors, Hulu's at about 15% as of this data. Amazon's at about, Prime is about 14, but begin to think about yourself, no matter who you are and what demographic you are, as a powerful group or subgroup. The Horowitz research survey focuses on TV and video content, reported that 60% of African-American viewers feel that original content offered by brands like Netflix, Hulu, and Amazon are more reflective of America's diversity than shows on broadcast and cable shows. And you're going to hear me make the point for other groups. So I'm going to link on and just show you some data that more platforms, more content for African Americans. And this is just in reference to Netflix. And Netflix is producing more content to African Americans, 1, because they have to, and 2, because other competitors are on their heel. And this just underscores some of the data that I've already given you about the importance of people of color in this marketing demographic. And so you have to understand what your value is. Netflix versus Black Binge Elite. This is a Black-owned company in South Africa that is competing for its market share of the Black population there. And I don't know if we're able to get it or not. I didn't check, but it's called Black Binge Elite. So if you go online and you look it up, you can see what they're doing. So Netflix is a huge behemoth, one of the first global streamers of content. Here, I want people to be aware of how important your patronage and your business is. And I want you to begin to act like it is by sending email, not just of concerns. When they do something well, let them know. No, Netflix shows off the numbers behind its global growth story for the first time. One of its strong competitors is Disney, Apple, AT&T, and Comcast. And they spend a large part of their revenue on content. So Netflix paid subscribers by region is about 67.1 million in the US and Canada. And the number would be broken down a little bit But in the US, that would be about 42%. So it's not quite 42% because they combined North America as a continent, but it begins to let you see. Also, take a look at Latin America. So, and you're going to assume that is Spanish speaking or much of it. And then you have Europe, Middle East and Africa, and Asia as well. And this looks at some of the numbers. Average monthly revenue per paying subscriber is $12.36. Lower in Latin America and Asia. So it begins to let you see how these little dollars, these little things add up, these little subscriptions. And that even takes me back to our other points where if you want to support Black and brown owned businesses, then you have to subscribe to kind of help them to be able to grow because they are providing content that interests you. And then finally, the reality is closing in on Netflix. It talks about the market share, how much they spend, drops in some of the value over time, and how Disney companies and others are catching up with them. And they need to begin to be able to garner a profit. They are looking at competing with Facebook Live, YouTube, Twitch, and all these other Hulu, Amazon Prime. So it's a big market. You have these ones here who are free, these ones who are $6, $9, $10, and whatever. It begins to show you the competition. It begins to get you to think about how you spend your money and where and what demands you can make on a particular company because you are a consumer for content. In the old days, 60s, 70s, 80s, 50s, what have you, we learned to leverage our buying power by making demands of corporations, businesses, and the government, hiring and so on. But also we can do it by leveraging our opinions and emailing and giving feedback about the content. There's always a social political part to it, people, although this will probably be the only time where I go on so much about the social political economic part of it, because many of you and many of us just want to chat about films, which is absolutely cool, or books or music or what have you, and we want to space to do it. But for me, everything, when you're a person of color, particularly when you're Black, Latino, as well, Native American, what have you, Asian, you have to understand the context and where you find yourself located. And so just a short piece on Netflix and the value of Latinos, Latinas spending their money and where. And again, it makes my point that they keep tabs on the national and international market share. And so if Latinos stop subscribing or it drops off, they become concerned. But part of it is then we should be seeing viable content, Spanish and English content, and jobs and movies and administration jobs by these populations. So they talk about in this article how in the Latinx community, they want to maintain, increase, enhance their market share. And like any large population, they want to keep it unlocked. Just a similar piece related to Asians, but again, you get in where you fit in, no matter what you identify with, how you call yourself ethnically, culturally. I'm not even touching gender, women as a subgroup. I'm not looking at out loud. I'm looking at in my head, queer, cultural, just so many things. You can put a demand on these huge behemoths to be more sensitive, to do certain kind of programmings. And so this is the same kind of commentary in regards to, quote, the Asian community. So, just something for you to think about. Oftentimes we are consumers of social media and these things, and we don't think about the business part of it. The first film that we selected was the Black Mirror series, which is on Netflix. Although, let me just say for the record, I'd be willing to, I'm also exploring Hulu and other platforms that I may not be purchasing right now. And, the old movie theaters that we used to go to, they're shut down now anyway, books. But Black Mirror is like a sci-fi tech series on Netflix. And the 5th season they launched, they did 5 shows. But the cool thing is, you know, about Netflix and a lot of these streaming sites is that you can watch everything, you know, on your own time. But Black Mirror refers to the impact of technology on our lives, and everything that has a screen, a computer screen, a telephone screen, a TV screen, all of these screens that are in our lives that we now stare at. And when they are turned off, they go black, AKA the Black Mirror. And so the Black Mirror in part then is a series that uses tech, that looks at how tech has influenced our lives in irreversible kind of ways that that sometimes we're not even aware of. And so when I saw this one related to African Americans, seeing a cast in there, and of course Asians as well, but the major cast are African American, it's an interesting story. So we talked about it today. I'm not going to recap it. Oh my gosh, we had a lot of fun. But it tells the story of Danny and Carl, 2 college friends, and then Danny and Theo over here as they are married in their life. And then these are 2 video characters, Roxette and Lance. And it tells this fascinating, different kind of a tale, folks, and story about relationships, marriage, fidelity, and it does it in a techie, very interesting kind of a way. And we had a lot of fun as a group today talking about it. It was just so much fun to hear just your different points of views and your take and what the relationship meant. And we're going to do more and more and more of this, but this was our first launch, and well done, a lot of fun. Pleasure talking to everybody. In the future, oh, let me add, these are reviews of the Black Mirror. I've probably read about 10 or 20 different reviews. This one is maybe more from a techie perspective, where some of the things that we see in there, were they possible, weren't they possible? That's the techie one, Striking Vipers. What was interesting to me in terms of reviews, I've read 10, 15. There's a lack of an Afrocentric review and perspective on these that I found curious. And so don't be surprised if I start writing and doing reviews of things to put out into the public. There's just a general lack of that perspective. And then depending on what your ethnic cultural group or groups are, I would encourage you to, if you enjoy writing, if you enjoy making little videos, that you critique these things and put them out there on your own pages. And then what's hot right now and what's going on literally as we speak is Madam C.J. Walker, the series. And I've posted a couple comments on my Facebook page, and we've been having a couple comments in the Karamu group. I'm very interested in talking about this. I juxtaposed it with the real Madam C.J. Walker and some advertisements on her and about her at this time. And of course, just to show you a clip of
one thing behind the scenes about dreams, they do come true. But my aspirations don't stop at these doors. You see, I want you all to be just like me, independent, self-sufficient women with their own businesses. Madam C.J. Walker will make sure all your dreams come true. My favorite part about playing Madam C.J. is the fact that I am playing Madam C.J. Whenever I consider adapting a real-life person's story, the first question that I ask is, what is the message of that person's life? She is the first self-made millionaire in the United States of America. That is a woman. And then we add on that she Black. Were it not for Madam, we wouldn't have the beauty culture within our culture. There were no products, beauty products, sundries made for Black women. She created that market. Give me 3 words that sum up the magnitude of your great-great-grandmother's legacy. Empowerment, determination, and love. Now, having said that, it is impossible to sum her up in 3 words.
growing up, you hear about Madam C.J. Walker and you hear about what she did for women and for Black people. And the idea of bringing this iconic woman to life was a dream come true.
We're in a period of time now where people are really ready to hear different kinds of stories. And Madam C.J. is one of those stories that when you hear everything that she accomplished, you can't quite believe it.
That's one hell of a story. Give me 110.
There's a lot of hope, especially for girls who can look and say that's a role model, that's an inspiration.
No matter what faced her, she always believed in herself.
She was taking her life into her own hands, trying to have some sort of power, because during those days, women, we didn't have no power.
The fact that she is known as Mrs. C.J. Walker, Madam C.J. Walker, that's just a sign of the times, you know, that she had to be known in relationship to this man.
But she didn't just get into this to make a buck for herself. Her mandate and mission was so much bigger than that. She really.
So I'm going to hold it there. But so you saw, some of you've seen some of my comments on Facebook. There are pluses and minuses. If the narrative for some of you is that it's an empowering and uplifting story for Black women to learn from and to be proud of the contribution, which I am. It's also when we fictionalize something, we tend to make changes in it that don't accurately reflect the real world. As I've said it in Facebook and other places, Spike Lee did that with the depiction of Malcolm X, and others have done that and will do that historically, whether it was in Roots, the TV series, and on and on and on and on and on again. It's sometimes for us who crave accurate history, it's important. We so much want to see the accurate portrayals, and so sometimes the fictionalization is for the entertainment value, which we get. We loved from 2 years ago, made it a box office hit, the Black Panther. We knew it was fiction, but seeing a aesthetic appreciation for African American culture it just rocked it for so many of us. So I think we should discuss it. I'd like to see women at the forefront of these discussions, but also, just personally, my opinion is that it also raises question about who owns and operates the Black hair care market and aesthetics, and where some of those dollars should be going to, and how do we help women of color, particularly Black women, to regain some of that market. So these are the kind of things that we will hopefully continue to talk about. You want to take a look at the first actors, actresses that got Oscars respectively. Well, that's Rita Moreno and that's Hattie McDaniels. And you can look up online to see how and when they got their award. So folks, that's what we're going to continue to try to do. We're going to have fun discussions. We're going to have great dialogues. We're going to look at how we're spending our money, and we're going to enjoy ourselves, you know, and we're going to get to know each other, and we're going to, grow this community. Have a good time while doing it, but also we're going to understand the importance of our dollar and of our money and so on. So thank you if you've listened to the whole thing. Hopefully the audio will get better on these, because I will, make some of these things better. But I appreciate it. If you want to join the group, the information's right there. Look forward to talking to you and or posting and chatting with you in the group. Take care. Be well.